Well, it's finally here. The Kevin Smith reboot of Masters of the Universe.
That is one big pile of shit.
This is why I drink. Fair warning, people, I'm about to spoil the shit out of this. We open with a Ken Burns-style montage of the original opening credits. I kind of liked it. It was a nice bit of nostalgia. We open up with a fireworks celebration and the promotion of Tela to the rank of Master-at-Arms, which is fine by me because I thought using Master-at-Arms as the name of a character was always kind of dumb. His real name is Duncan, so that's what I'm going to be calling him. So anyway, we get a bunch of character moments basically establishing that Tela and Adam have been friends forever, and then we get some exposition vomit telling us about how awesome she is.
For decades now, I've watched with pride as you grew to be a brilliant technician, a lethal warrior, and a master strategist.
So anyways, Skeletor shows up at Castle Grayskull in disguise and manages to break in. Word gets back to the king, and he sends out his troops to help defend the castle and kick Skeletor's bony butt. Now, a battle ensues outside Castle Grayskull that's basically a review of all the hit toys from back in the 80s. Seriously, I owned about half of this stuff. Then He-Man shows up and starts kicking butt the old-fashioned way. Meanwhile, inside Skeletor reveals that what he actually wants is not the castle itself, but what's underneath it. The heroes show up and everybody ends up in the basement. We find out that Castle Grayskull is actually a repository for all the magic in Eternia. We also find out that Castle Grayskull itself is actually an illusion, covering the Grand Hall of Wisdom. I thought this is very strange. Like, why didn't anyone in the neighborhood notice this? You'd think at some point people would be like, it's very strange that the castle that was over there suddenly turns into this skull-faced edifice overnight. Kind of weird. So He-Man and Skeletor duke it out in the basement, and He-Man manages to impale Skeletor right into the repository. Skeletor thinks this is great because that's actually the key to open the thing. You gotta admire his dedication to trick He-Man into stabbing him through the gut just to open up the vault. So the orb is released and Skeletor tries to steal the power of Grayskull. This doesn't work because the sorcerer stops time, giving He-Man a chance to do something about it. The only way to stop the universe from being destroyed is to absorb the power of Grayskull himself. Tela, of course, is surprised by the fact that He-Man turns into Adam as he splits the Sword of Power in two. And then Adam and Skeletor explode. What the fuck? You just exploded your main character and your main villain in the first freaking episode. It seems to me that I've seen this monumental fuck-up before, where he killed off the main antagonist way too soon. So the team returns to the castle, and they tell the king that He-Man is dead. The king naturally mourns his kingdom's protector, when his wife tells him, "We've also lost our son." What? The king, being understandably pissed, because he's the only one in the room that didn't know this, strips Duncan and Orko of their rank and titles and banishes them. Tela, also being understandably rather pissed, since she just found out about He-Man and Adam about an hour ago, yells at the queen for not having told the king. She then tells everyone basically to go to hell, and she quits.
That is one big pile of shit.
They managed to destroy the entire series in the very first episode by killing off the main hero and the main villain. Way to go, Kevin, you dick. We jump forward a few years and magic is basically gone from the world and technology is taking over. Tela shows up with her new womanist power cut and a girlfriend, the token black female character, and apparently the two are working as mercenaries. So after completing the job, they take another offer from an old lady who is obviously Evil-Lyn. Evil-Lyn hires them to break into Snake Mountain to steal a goblet for sentimental reasons. She pays them a king's ransom to do this, and nobody bats an eye. So Tela has a flashback to her adventures with He-Man. This and one other flashback will be the only time we see He-Man for the rest of the series. We don't see Skeletor again to the last 5 minutes of the last episode. What the hell?
Not a great plan.
Inside, Triclops has started some new cult of technology. He's turning everybody into cyborgs and pledging their loyalty to the motherboard. Tela then uses her magical Swiss Army bullshit stick to kick everyone's ass, steal the cup, and head back to Evil Lynn. Still, nobody questions why this random old woman wanted this thing. She pays them a king's ransom and then asks them if they want to finish the mission. Help her deliver this to Castle Grayskull for nostalgia. Tela finally decides to confront Evil Lynn about her actual identity, only to find out that Evil Lynn and the Sorceress are actually working together, trying to restore the magic to Eternia, and the Sorceress gives Evil Lynn the last shard that she stores in her staff. And then Sorceress and Cringer try to convince Tela that she needs to go on a mission to restore the magic. Wait, what? Isn't that literally He-Man's job as protector of Eternia? Oh wait, he's dead. Never mind. If there was any doubt of the gynocentric nature of this whole thing, it's gone now. So the team of Tela, Token Black Sidekick, and Evil Lynn decide they need another member, a master warrior who can reforge the Sword of Power. Tela's dad, Duncan. After stopping an attack on his village, they convince Duncan to help them out. However, not before Duncan drops to his knees and begs forgiveness. Because, yeah. So it turns out that Duncan's been taking care of Orko all this time. Orko's extremely sick and presumably dying due to the lack of magic in the world. However, he wants to go on one last adventure and die on his feet, so off we go. They also pick up Beastman and Mr. Roboto, Duncan's robot. So the team travels to Subternia, which is basically hell, to retrieve the first half of the Sword of Power. They must cross an Arctic Ocean to get there. Tela and Evil Lynn discuss unrequited love, and Orko laments about the loss of his adventuring days. The team is then ambushed by Merman and his flunkies. They're surrounded and about to be, monologued to death, when from out of nowhere Duncan shows up on a jet ski and proceeds to kick ass. Seriously, this dude's got more gizmos than Batman and frickin' Boba Fett. He's awesome. So after trashing Merman and his oversized sardines, he has a little reunion with his daughter. And then she tells him to go back to Castle Grayskull and watch after the Sorceress. She's got this. Evil Lynn opens the gateway to hell. Everyone descends, and the team is immediately split up so they can all face their greatest fear. Tela is confronted by Scareglow, who tells her that he'll give her the sword if she gives him her fear. She says she's not afraid of anything, so he drops her into a dark pit to try to get her fears out of her. It turns out that Tela's greatest fear is being awesome. I'm not kidding. So she accepts that she's amazing, powers up into her ultimate form, Tela Sue. That's right, I'm calling it She's Tela Sue. So Evil Lynn uses the sword to open up a gateway to Eternia, which is basically Ragnarok. And wouldn't you know it, Scareglow comes back for one last round. Orko decides he's had enough of this guy's bullshit, goes full-on beast mode and kicks his ass. He shares a moment with Evil Lynn, proceeds to trash Scareglow, which of course kills him in the process. The two of them explode, which punts everyone into Eternia, where they find Dead Adam and have a funeral for Orko. So Dead Adam agrees to introduce him to Grayskull, the first champion of Eternia. He's also the guy the castle's named after. But he's out on a hunt, so Tela uses her magical Swiss Army bullshit stick to get her and Adam ahead of the race to win and go talk to Grayskull. Grayskull then tells them there's a portal in his castle that will get them back to Eternia, the land of the living. There's just one catch. Adam probably can't return if he goes through the portal. Meanwhile, the rest of the team rewire Mr. Roboto so he can reforge the Sword of Power. Turns out they actually need the nuclear reactor in his chest in order to pull this trick off, so it's probably a good thing Duncan never bothered to show up. With the last bit of magic thoroughly powering his superpowered self, he goes beast mode. And in the process, he begins to reforge the Sword of Power, puts it back together, and manages to blow himself and the castle to pieces. Roboto dies and everyone heads back to Paternia. At Castle Grayskull, Duncan is out of here kicking butt like a boss and just wiping out NPCs like it's nothing. He and Tela reunite again, and everyone heads inside. Adam calls upon the power of Grayskull so they can bring magic back into the world. This works. The sorceress is restored, Grayskull is restored, and everybody's happy. But for some unfathomable reason, he doesn't immediately turn into He-Man like he did in the original series, which allows Skeletor to come back, stab him through the back, and kill Adam yet again. Skeletor then explains that he was hiding an Evelyn staff the entire time and asks her to come back with him, even though she's already admitted that he never really cared about her. So of course she goes back. Skeletor then raises the Sword of Power and goes Super Saiyan. And that's it.
Fuck.
What a fucking mess. Is it just me, or does anyone else feel extremely betrayed by the fact that He-Man and the Masters of the Universe didn't include, fucking He-Man? I desperately wanted to believe that the rumors were wrong, that Kevin Smith, the comic book nerd and Gen X kid, wouldn't go full-on woke and fuck this up. Man, that was wrong. I guess Hollywood being Hollywood for the last 30 years, he's absorbed all of the hive mind, and he has gone completely frickin' woke. He is so far gone from the great filmmaker of Clerks and Dogma. He is totally sold out, and I have lost all respect for him. First off, I'm going to be nice and start with the things that they did right. This won't take very long. The animation itself is rather spectacular. It's top-notch, and visually the series is fantastic. It's easily on par with Voltron or Transformers. The voice acting is solid, and the casting was great. Even though I heard Joker every time Skeletor opened his mouth. Come on, Mark, I know you can do other voices. And I just can't not see President Palmer, the Allstate guy, whenever I hear that voice. God, I love Dennis Haysbert. I've also been a fan of Sarah Michelle Gellar ever since Buffy. I thought she was a good pick, as you need a strong leading actress to play your lead character. She just should never have been the lead character. And she also should never have been Tela Sue. I thought that all the actors brought more depth to the characters than you had in the original series, and this was good. Overall, they did a great job, much better than this thing deserves. I think Evelyn was the standout of this entire woke mess. I really liked the storyline between her and Orko. It made Orko more relatable and not such a doofus. Evelyn isn't the cartoon cackling bad guy of the original series, and that's really one of the strengths. Yeah, sure, the first episodes were full of so many 13-year-old boy puns that they actually had to make a joke about it on screen. But it gets better, I guess. Whatever. In this series, Evelyn is older and wiser and weary. She's had time to reflect and come to terms with her life in the past. She teams up with the sorceress out of mutual necessity. At this point, nobody really trusts her, but with good reason. She's been her sworn enemy for years. Over time, she begins to bond with the group and assumes a mentorship role while dealing with her own loss of identity and power. She points out Tela's torch carrying for Adam and helps Orko to realize that he is not the failure that his parents and peers always thought he was. She and Orko bond over their names and parental issues growing up, and I think this is probably my favorite part of the whole thing. Both of them were always kind of cartoony and played for comic relief, especially Orko, who was a total clown in the original series. But in this case, he turns into a real character. A mutual bond of friendship and even some respect developed between the two, so it kind of hurts when he ended up getting killed afterwards. Seriously, Kevin, you set her up in a perfect story arc, which would have been great to see her change. Tell Skeletor, you know what? I'm done with you. I'm siding with my new friends. This would have been a great storyline. It makes me wonder if, did Mattel tell him, no, you need to keep her evil? Or he just decided to do it on his own because he's apparently forgotten how to write good stories. Dunga was pretty awesome. He totally kicked ass. And it's nice to see fathers treated with at least a modicum of respect, but they still kind of punked him a little bit. And the whole bowing down and begging for forgiveness thing. Yes, I realize it's his daughter, but still, really? And now for the 8,000-pound gorilla that destroyed Masters of the Universe. You can't take an established franchise like this that's been around for 50 years or so, and then decide, you know what, the first thing we're going to do is get rid of the main characters, the main bad guy and the main villain. Did anyone else notice that these guys were all over the advertising, all the promotion, all the toys and everything. It's all He-Man and Skeletor. Gee, I wonder why that is. Oh, wait, because this is a boys franchise. This thing was written to appeal to boys on Saturday afternoon. It sold toys that appealed to boys. Well, guess what? They're all now middle-aged men in their 40s with their own sons and probably grandsons. This is your target audience. This is your built-in audience of people that are going to watch your show and will probably end up buying your merchandise. So Netflix's idea, that they did in cahoots with Kevin, was to do exactly the same mistake that Disney made with Star Wars and crap all over their established fan base, hoping to get the woke crowd that never cared about this thing in the first place. You'd think they'd learn their lesson, but I guess not. That's all I have for today, folks. If you want to see more content, please like, share, subscribe. Support me over on darthcastigus.locals.com, and I'll see you in the next video.